If somebody's leaving for $5,000, there is something you're missing. And it could be that it sucks to work at your law firm.
So I think that people have listened, because every time I ask a question, you're always like, I wish I had more context. I wish I had more context. So we are starting to get a lot more context on these questions. So question number 1. Hi, Michael. I'm a longtime listener and run an immigration practice with 6 attorneys and 18 support staff. We've grown rapidly over the past few years, but I'm struggling with attorney retention. 2 of my associates left in the past year, one for a competitor who only offered $5,000 more in salary, and another to start their own practice. We offer competitive pay and good benefits, but I'm starting to realize that might not be enough. What am I missing?
Here's the thing I would say about this one. I can give you an answer, and one, you're going to be like, okay, makes sense, and then the other answer you're not going to like. If you have somebody who left for a competing law firm for $5,000, you could look at it and say, look, maybe money was the main thing that mattered to them, right? And if they were going to leave over such a trivial sum, then maybe it wasn't trivial to them, or maybe, in some ways that's wasn't someone who was a great fit for your firm. I don't know. You could make up all sorts of reasons and excuses. It doesn't make them true. The person who left to start their own firm, it's going to happen, right? If there's a reason you run your own law firm, right? Because you probably left to start your own firm at some point. And if somebody decides they want to go bet on themselves, and you have somebody that's just super ambitious and entrepreneurial, they're going to do that at some point, right? Otherwise, they're going to live a life of regret. That doesn't mean their firm is going to be successful. It just means that they're choosing to place a bet on themselves. And I think the best thing you can do is just be supportive of them and, hope they succeed. And, there could be great opportunities to collaborate in the future.
Yeah, keep an abundance mindset.
So this is the one you're like, okay, I understand. Now, here's the answer you're not going to like. If somebody's leaving for $5,000, right, there is something you're missing. And it could be that it sucks to work at your law firm, because if somebody has an opportunity to make a little bit more money somewhere else, and let's say that somewhere else is a lot easier to work at, right? Like maybe there's just less accountability. Maybe they're like, look, man, I can make more money. Your firm, I got to hit all these KPIs. I got to hit all these targets and these key performance indicators. I got to do all this work to make my money, and I can go somewhere else and make a little bit more, but they're not going to ask anything of me. Who could blame them, right? Maybe they can go somewhere else, make a little bit more, and there is no accountability. Maybe they even let them work from home, right? Let them do whatever, right? I probably just trigger somebody, I'm sure. And then if that's the case, then you have to consider, okay, well, do we make it easier to work at our firm, for example, right? Or if you are, trying to set a high standard, reinforce a standard, maybe even elevate the standard at your firm, and you're like, look, this is our culture. This is how we do things. Like, we're going to commit to a level of excellence. We're going to work hard, and that's going to attract certain people, and that's going to repel others. And this might be an example of it repelling somebody, right? It just may not be a good fit for them. That doesn't make them a bad person.
Right.
It just may not be a good fit. There could also be other cultural issues where, when I say sucks to work at your law firm, there's the sucks that I just said where law firm is yeah, those people are just soft and weak. And I mean, that's easy to say. Or maybe it's just not a great experience. Maybe they just don't feel valued. Maybe they don't feel respected. Maybe they don't have a lot of clarity and direction on how to be successful in their role. Maybe they didn't get great training and onboarding. It could be so many other things that the thing that you're missing, a good way to find out is just to ask, right?
Yeah.
And to ask them okay, so and anytime there's an exit interview, it's what do they got to lose, right? So just get that feedback. It can give you insight into what you could do better in the future, right? But I think a lot of this comes down to, in either of these scenarios where somebody either leaves for some amount of money or where somebody leaves to start their own firm, it comes down to how much do they believe in the future, in their future, and in your firm's future, right? So meaning that in their future at your firm. And do they see the firm as moving in a direction where that's a future they want to align with and stick with, or maybe not, right? Maybe they don't know what the future vision is of the firm. Maybe they're not sold on it. Maybe they're not excited about it. Maybe they don't care. The role of a leader, I think many times, is to keep people excited about the future of the business. Sometimes you'll see it's interesting, and I won't name companies because we're trying to you're telling me not to get political on this podcast, but in the stock market, there's companies that can take a hit, and when a company's stock price goes down, there's sometimes the sentiment that everybody believes that this company is doomed to fail, or the company's overvalued, or whatever. And then sometimes that can be the case. Or sometimes it's an emotional reaction in the market where if you truly believe in a company, and if you believe in the company's future, 3 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out, you wouldn't sell that company's stock because you believe in the future of that business, and the future is going to be greater than what it is today. So I think that's why it's so important. And you see this, that sometimes the stock market is so emotionally driven. It's not necessarily even driven by actual true key financial metrics. Also the economy is very different than the stock market. Financial health of a company is sometimes also very different than their actual stock price. These things don't go hand in hand, right? So, but it's your role as a leader, I think, to cast this vision for the future and to ensure that your team is excited about that future. Something we've done is, why wait for the exit interview? Is you start integrating stay interviews. So if you want to speak to those.
Yeah, but I mean, it's exactly what you said is really getting a pulse on people and understanding, why are you staying? Why are you still here? And we have targets every quarter to conduct a certain number of them. Usually it's our head of people doing that, but to truly understand everyone's experience, because the thing is, nothing breaks my heart more than when someone leaves over something that was like so fixable. And it was something so minute, but they never felt that they could speak up, or they never felt that they could say something. And so that's the point of a stay interview, is understanding like what keeps you here, what is important to you. And you would be surprised. It's not always money.
So I think that's the best thing. It's just, I think start integrating that feedback loop early, so it doesn't get to a situation where someone's going to leave over $5,000, right? Or at least if it got to that point, you at least know that they came to you first, or that you had some pulse on where this person's head was at. And then for the ones that are going to leave and start their own firms, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. I've yet to speak to a successful firm owner that hasn't had that happen to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, they're all going to leave and I'm going to like train my competition. But that's not true.
No.
Right? Not at all. It's no different than like what you did when you started your practice, right? You probably left another firm to do it, like I was saying earlier. Or you can create a structure within the firm where there's a career path, or there's a way in which they can continue to grow that's valuable for them, that, can satisfy that, entrepreneurial itch that they may have, right? Maybe it's giving them a level of autonomy over a certain department within the firm and allowing them to essentially be an entrepreneur, like an intrapreneur within the business. I think there's a rising amount of intrapreneurs where we can have people that are entrepreneurial, even within our company, that can have autonomy over certain decision-making and be able to drive direction and strategy and so on. And, some of them just, they don't want to go out and start their own companies, but they're entrepreneurial by nature, right? They don't want to run a company or deal with a company. But I think it's also important for them to like satisfy their entrepreneurial needs. And if you can provide that opportunity within your company, there could be a lot of great entrepreneurs.